first time you're exposed to a disaster scenario, we don't know what you may do. Some people may panic, some people may do the wrong thing.
In the old days, we'd watch, we'd see, and then we'd do, and then you're on your own. And that is not the best way to ensure that we're doing the best for our patients.
This is at 80% right now.
So before someone's placed in a scenario where they'd have to take care of a patient with these life-altering injuries, let's implant folks who have a medical background, but not necessarily the trauma training background that we need, and get them spun up on those scenarios.
It's human nature for us to come in and you see something that's plastic or rubber and you automatically assume it's not real. And then you see them breathe. And then you feel the pulses. And then you see them blink. And then you see them bleed. And then now you're saying, whoa.
The highest fidelity mannequins have animatronics, physiologic engines, meaning if I give this mannequin a medication, it will respond as though I've given it the right medication. It can actually detect what I've given it. I can put a blood pressure cuff on this mannequin and it gives me a pressure, high or low, in a physiologic range. The pulse, I can feel it in real time. I can have them sweat, I can have them turn blue.
We have a simulator that bleeds profusely from multiple sites, and it also moves, so the legs will move up and down, and it also has audio so we can speak through the simulator and do things like groaning or screaming or calling out for help. And for some of our first-time students, when they see that in a training environment, they really get excited about it, or they freak out, one or the other.
In medical modeling and simulation management that we do at NMAST and say at the Air Force Medical Modeling and Simulation Training Program are not designed to just incorporate the newest, latest, greatest, expensive technology.
It's very hard for us to mimic a combat environment outside. It's a real production. You'll have to have smoke, you have to mimic the bad guys, and all these other extra things that you need to put in there to make them feel like they're in a combat situation.
WAVE stands for Wide Area Virtual Environments, and it's essentially a panel of TV screens that give you a more immersive environment. It's difficult sometimes to replicate what it's like being shot at and in a war zone and things are on fire and things are falling apart, but it's easy to project it onto a screen.
You send out insurgents, you send out grenades, you throw RPGs, very easy. It's very hard to mimic that in real time.
And so these screens combined with pyrotechnics and lighting give you a more realistic example of what it's like to be in a combat zone without having to burn something down. It allows us to desensitize them a little bit. It's still going to be terrifying, it's still going to be intense, but at least they can say in their mind, I've done this before, I've seen this, but I know I need to focus not on this outward stuff, but on our patients and on our mission.
The more realistic you can make your training, the better the learning is going to be, the more they remember out of it.
We're finding that many of these newer technologies keep them engaged for longer and actually have the promise of helping them retain information for longer.
The distractions can happen in the real world. The things that happen in front of a patient care team can distract you from doing the right things and losing your focus. But if you practice over and over in front of a mannequin with scenarios that are real world, based on real world things that have happened, we can come to the point of protecting the patient and doing a better job. So absolutely focusing, sharpening up on your skills.
Medical simulation is the way of the future, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we keep up with that technology to give the best quality training for our students.
Regardless of where you get trained and who the instructor is on the day you happen to be there, that you get the same training so that when you go to some overseas location and need to make a difference in somebody's life on the first day that you've hit the ground, that you've received training that can save lives.